Welcome back to Pickin Winners. I'm Tony. That is Nate. We're through 10 weeks of the NFL season, so just about the halfway point. But we've got Week 11 picks on this one. We've got our best bets, and we'll go ahead and sprinkle in some additional lines and props along the way. Before we get started, though, how we doing, Nate?
We're doing good. Thursday night football just happened. You and me, you'll get to it, but we both had Baltimore. Um, Obviously, that worked out well for us. Joe Burrow gets hurt. That sucks too, but I posted in our group text before. I was like, hey, and here's my two picks for tonight. And it was Baltimore first half -2.5. They scored a touchdown right before the half, cleared that. Good. Joe Burrow was gone. That kind of stinks too. But then also the over in that game. I thought that both of these defenses pretty much stink for what they try to do against each other. And we cashed that too with a late touchdown. That would have cleared probably in the third quarter if Joe Burrow were playing. But it feels good to go into a week 2-0. And, I bet there's people who sit here now that we record on Thursday nights. We have schedules and all that kind of stuff going on or whatever. It's like, oh, of course they picked Baltimore. They just got done winning or whatever. But we're competing against each other for a jersey, Tony. So
We are.
You're holding me accountable. I'm holding you accountable because I want to win this goddamn thing. So just so the listeners out there know we're not faking our crap. And we've had, I think last week we were on opposites also. So
Yeah, we've got a spreadsheet with picks, and it's a shared document, so we can both get eyes on it. I did have some picks I did not share in the group chat. I had the gym right after work, and then I got home and basically turned the game on. But I had Keaton Mitchell, longest run over 13.5 yards. He hit that, and also over 25 rushing yards. So you get one, you pretty much get the other. So I hit both of those as well. NBD, Nate. So just a quick recap for Week 10. I went 8-6, taking me to 92-58 on the year. Not bad. You went 5-9. Not a great week. A lot of those games we were at opposing ends of. I got like 4 of the 5 or something right. But that moves you to 89-61. For best bets, this is where we're flipped here. Mine lost. I had Baltimore and Seattle in a 6-point teaser. Just needed the Ravens to win. And of course, they lost to a Deshaun Watson-led Browns, which we found out now that he had a high ankle sprain, the highest of ankle sprains, and a fractured shoulder. So, of course, he beats the Ravens. I'm 5-5 with these best bets. Not great. But you, on the other hand, you had Sam Howell over 36.5 pass attempts. That won, as it should have, moving you to 7-3 on the year. So legit best bets. You're doing very well there. Any commentary before I have this last note before we move on?
this last week was the worst I feel like the worst bad beat week of my life, right? We get Carolina, for some reason, can't move the ball against Chicago, right? Which was just terrible. And they have a bunch of people out, or they had a bunch of people out. They're getting a ton of people back this week. And so it should be a little bit better. Mac Jones misses a fucking wide open Hunter Henry in the end zone for a touchdown, just underthrows him by 15 yards straight to the defense. And you're like, what the hell? Because they end up beating Indianapolis in that game. Green Bay, they're the worst of the worst. And it's going to be, I feel terrible for what I'm doing this coming up week there. Baltimore loses that game as well, too. But I did end up hitting that Houston beating Cincinnati thing, right? But I did mention too, and not to like toot my own horn, is like both of those teams were like upset alert, look ahead type games and stuff like that. So I kind of wish I would have went the opposite way with Cleveland as well. And then obviously Atlanta, you give Bijan the ball way too much, you're going to lose ball games. Arthur Smith's proven that. So there's that. The Jets, the offense is terrible, and it's not because of quarterback play as much as that dude's becoming the fall guy. But look at how good Russell Wilson has been playing this year, and then look at what's happening to Zach Wilson this year. It's not like Zach Wilson was like a world beater prior to, but the Las Vegas Raiders were sitting there running quarters coverage, which is 4 high, right? The corners and the safeties are deep, with 3 linebackers covering the entire middle of the field all the way to the sideline. So one dude's hash to hash, the other dude's hash to the sideline, the other dude hash to sideline. Got a minute and a half to go in a game, and this dude's running vertical routes all the way up the seams. You can't hit. That's what it's designed to stop, dude. And there's all this space in the middle, and they're even talking about in the broadcast. For some reason, I had the damn broadcast on. I think I was listening to who was it? Who's that in that one? Joe Buck or whatever like that. Sunday Night Football. Troy Aikman, I think. And no, that's Monday night. Whoever the Sunday night game is.
Yeah.
But Tirico. right? And they're talking about how wide open Garrett Wilson is coming across the middle, and they don't run it the rest of the time. And it just makes no sense. And they're putting Zach Wilson's getting put in all these bad situations, and he's not playing that bad. Like, he's making good throws.
Yeah.
He's on time and everything like that. And they should have won that fucking game against Las Vegas. And it was terrible that they didn't. And shout out to the Denver Broncos for beating the Buffalo Bills. Granted, it took, too many men on the field and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
Nathaniel Hackett doesn't deserve to be in the NFL. The only reason they brought him in is because Aaron Rodgers wouldn't take play calling from anybody else who says they're going to run my offense.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, Aaron Rodgers likes the way he designs an offense and knows how to run it, but apparently he's the only guy on planet Earth because Russell Wilson stunk last year, and now this dude's sitting up here as one of the top quarterbacks in the league. I think he has a 4-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio. He's passing for good yards. He's mobile. He's moving. They're winning ball games. He's getting all the receivers involved and stuff like that, and the Jets can't beat the freaking Raiders because of play calling, and it is bad and it's terrible, and I feel bad for Zach Wilson. Get it? He's not that great. I root for him because everybody craps on him, but he hasn't been playing that bad these last couple weeks, and he's becoming the fall guy, and it's terrible. So let's just move on.
You good? You got it all out, Nate?
I lost a lot of money. I'm glad that all my props and stuff went through the roof. I think I went like 10-3 or something like that, right, on all my other props and stuff I did on the side. God, I can give out the best pick, and hopefully you're just watching this to see if we can become profitable betting money line, and you're not actually doing this with us, because we said from episode 1, this is not a good idea.
No,
you're not gonna.
It's terrible.
It's terrible, but we're gonna do it to see if we can, right? Experiments and stuff like that. Yeah. So. We're 7 minutes in. I'm sorry, but it's been on my mind all week, and I got to get some steam off. So,
sure. So, expert check-in. I have done this a couple times before we get into Week 12 picks. I have 92 wins. You're at 89. Mike Florio of NBC's at 96 and 54. He's at like the very top of the expert leaderboard for NFL picks. Jamie Eisenberg of CBS is 91 and 59. Got him beat. Pete Prisco, CBS. 89 and 61, got him beat by 3 games. No big deal, but we're doing okay, Nate. Let's move on now to our Week 11 predictions on bye. This week we've got the Falcons, the Colts, Patriots, and the Saints. We are also recording this. Yeah, they're doing us a favor this week. We're recording this on Thursday after the Thursday night game, November 16th. Again, we both picked Baltimore, so we're starting 1-0, and we're going to kick things off with the Sunday early games. Pittsburgh at Cleveland. The Browns are favored by 1. Over-unders, very low, understandably so. It's at 33. What you got?
Yeah, I think this over-under was at 37.5 when it opened. And then as the Deshaun Watson news of, he has an ankle injury came out, then it went down to like 35.5. And then now that they said, or when PJ Walker was assumed to be the quarterback, 35.5. And now they said DTR is the quarterback, and it's 33. Pittsburgh stinks. I don't care who's playing quarterback for the Cleveland Browns. They're going to be able to run the ball, right? Like, just turn around, hand it to Jerome Ford. Let's get 10 points and get out of here with a win. I'm going to take Cleveland to win it because the Pittsburgh Steelers, like, at some point, you being outgained by your opponents by substantial margins will lose you ball games. And it comes at a point when there's a defense that can do it. And the Cleveland Browns have a top 3 defense in the entire league. They're going to be the ones to hold this team under 10 points. Cleveland wins it. Some nasty 9-7, 10-7 type game. I'll take Cleveland to win at home.
Yeah, Watson done for the year. Obviously, I'm taking the Browns even still. And it's not a testament to how good I think the Browns defense is. They're very good. It's a testament to how bad I think the Steelers are. So I'm in unison there with you, Nate. Offensively, they're 18th in DVOA, but 30th in total passing yards. This is the Steelers, 2nd in total rushing yards, and 31st in total first downs. How they've managed to win some of these games, getting outgained, I believe it's in every single game this year. It's wild. Mm-hmm. So I'm also on Cleveland. As ugly as this game is going to be, I'm taking the Browns.
We also need that drama near the end of the year when the Pittsburgh Steelers are 8-8. Right, and then they win the last game of the year, so Tomlin gets over 500.
It's coming for sure. Next game, Chicago at Detroit. Lions are favored by 8. Over/under is one of the higher ones on the week at 48. What you got?
I'm opposite of everybody in the world on what they think about the Detroit Lions. I don't think they're all that great. They pushed around the Los Angeles Chargers last week. I don't know if you've seen these clips where it's a run to the left and you look at the entire line for the Detroit Lions and they all have their dudes blocked in unison going forward like 2-3 yards down the field. It's like the Chargers in this defense that was, so good for 2 weeks when they were playing nobodies, like the Bears and I think it was the Bears and the Jets, teams that can't block. Um, and they got manhandled by the Detroit Lions. I don't think they're all that good, but the Chicago Bears are even worse. So I'll take the Detroit Lions to win at home. It's probably be the loudest environment that Justin Fields has played in, outside of like going to Tuscaloosa or
Oh
going
yeah.
to Ann Arbor or something like that. So
Yeah. Detroit at home against Fields coming off injury. Badgett Field doesn't matter for me. I like where the Lions are at with the top 5 offense, top 10 defense in terms of DVOA or efficiency. Chicago is the exact opposite, ranking outside the top 25 in those same metrics. So this was an easy pick for me. Give me Detroit as well. Next matchup, the Chargers at the Packers. Chargers road favorites at 3, over unders at 44. What are you doing?
the Packers are terrible. I just talked about them in the opening segment about how bad they are, and they can't even beat the Pittsburgh Steelers, but they're going to beat the Los
But
Angeles Chargers this week at home. The Chargers are going there, 3-point
yep.
favorites. I don't think the Chargers are any good. Justin Herbert's finger is messed up. They may not have Keenan Allen this week. It looks like he's going to play. He's got a sprained AC joint, and he was wearing some like shoulder plate thing or something like that under his pads. It looks completely uncomfortable. He practiced limited today on Thursday. He'll probably go, but they don't have pass catchers there. And when your number one pass catcher is going to be Keenan Allen with the AC joint, like if he gets smacked and he lands on that thing, it's going to be trouble. He's not going to be able to have the mobility in his arm to be able to go up and catch passes with his length or anything like that. So everything's going to have to be at on target. I think Eckler catches a bunch of passes out of the backfield because that's all they really have. A couple Jalen Guyton bubble screens and stuff like that. I think
Mm-hmm.
Quentin Johnson will be playing this week as well too, but he hasn't been able to show any form. Gerald Everett out. Like the Chargers just aren't that good. Green Bay can run the ball. I think they could play pretty good defense. Their defense has been okay as of late. Um, it looks like when you watch the Green Bay Packers, it's not all put together yet, but it looks like the pieces are getting there as far as the scheme and what they're doing with Jordan Love and in positions. He's just got to make the throws. I think Dobbs is better than anybody in that Chargers secondary. I don't think they're going to be able to get a big pass rush on the Packers. Their offensive line's okay, and they'll be able to run the ball all over the Chargers with AJ Dillon and hopefully Aaron Jones coming back. So I get Green Bay as an upset at home
Mm.
in the cold. Justin Herbert, his long old hair. They asked him if he's ever played in snow. He said that's for Madden. He's not going to want to be out there. Give me Green Bay to win a game.
That's bold. This is a bold one. I like it. That one thing we've never questioned is Keenan Allen's length. So let's put that to bed.
He is black. I'm good
God
for one
damn
of
it.
those an episode.
Yeah. All right. Chargers played well against the Lions. Ultimately took the loss last week. That was a good game. That was entertainment from the NFL at its finest. Their offense is as Nate likes to say, it is humming. I know Keenan Allen's a little banged up. He's going to go. He's tough. He'll play through it. Defense for sure leaves a lot to be desired. But Green Bay, they're 23rd in both total passing and rushing yards. Not great. And if they can't score with the Chargers, I don't think they have a shot at winning this game. Their defense hasn't really been something they can rely on. Definitely worse than what we assumed it was going to be coming into the year. So I like your pick. I think it's bold, but I'm going the other way. I'm taking the Chargers to win this one on the road.
And I think part of it too is because I don't believe that Detroit is any good too. So when you look at what these two teams did last week against each other, like Detroit had extra rest, and the Chargers were coming off of a shorter week or whatever. I believe
Yeah.
that's what it was, right? Detroit played on Thursday the week before, or they were on a bye.
I forget, man.
I
Let me
forget what
look
it
at my
was, but one of
spreadsheet.
them was on extra rest or whatever like that. I think it was the Chargers were on shorter rest because they played on the weekend, and Detroit played on Thursday or something like that.
Yeah,
And
Chargers
or
played the
were
Monday night game the week before.
yeah, so they were on shorter rest too, and they still put up a ton of points, and that's not usual or whatever like that. So I'm not putting a bunch of weight on what Detroit is. I don't think they've played anybody, and so for the Chargers to move the ball against them, I'm not real a bit about it. And just weather in general, I like Green Bay. So
That's fair. Green Bay showed some stuff against the Steelers, so it's promising. I just need more. I need to see more. The data points I have all been negative on them. Last week was like the first positive in a while, so we'll see.
watch this week.
Next
watch
matchup.
this week.
I know. I will watch the game. Next matchup: Las Vegas at Miami. Dolphins favored by just about 2 touchdowns. They get 13.5 at home. Over under is at 46.5. What you got?
Classic bully game for the Miami Dolphins. They're gonna win. They're gonna smoke this Raiders team. You know, welcome to South Beach, Raiders. Like, I know you live in Vegas. It's all glitz and glam. You got all that stuff going on there. You're more focused on, hey, there's a Formula One race I got to watch in the middle of the night, the day before a game. You know, like, what's going on in my city? I think Miami blows them out. Miami's just the better team. The Raiders don't have anything to compete with them. The Raiders can run the ball. But they're not going to be able to pass the ball, and I think Miami gets up early and then blows this team out. I also like the 13.5. I like laying it. So
Dang.
2 weeks in a row, I like laying big numbers. So
all right. On the one hand, you have a Raiders team that has rallied behind their interim head coach. It's awesome, but O'Connell leaves a lot to be desired at the quarterback position, and the defense they're only middle of the pack. On the year, the Raiders are 29th in offensive efficiency, so their entire body of work. O'Connell, he's not going to change that, I don't think. I believe Miami, coming off the bye, wipes the floor with the Raiders, as you do. The line should be in better shape for the Dolphins offensive line, and I believe Devon Achane is coming off IR as well. So
yep.
if he is playing, he's going to mop the floor with these guys, and I'm looking forward to it. I think Mostert might be a little bit banged up, but healthier coming off the bye as well. So taking the Dolphins. Next matchup, Giants at the Commanders. Washington favored by 9. Over-under is low. Hits at 37. What you got?
Yeah, this is a game where if you're betting sides or you're teasing, or even if you think, oh, I got a free win with the Washington Commanders, I wouldn't touch this game with your money,
Probably
Tony. But I'll take Washington to beat them. Old Danny DeVito can't move the ball on this Washington team. Like, that dude stinks. And they just can't block either. So, the Giants are in contention for Caleb Williams. They can't win this week because next week's the battle for Caleb Williams, when they're going to play the New England Patriots and who's going to be the number 1 overall pick, because Chicago's probably going to win a game. Arizona's going to win a couple games by the end of the year. They're not tanking. It's up to New York, and it's up to New England. Carolina, I think, can win a game, get themselves over that 3-win mark. So that Chicago doesn't have that pick. Washington beats them. I've all year been betting this Sam Howell over 36.5, over 34.5. The number's at 36.5 this week. I don't like it because I think this is a game where they can blow a team out, and then they'll be able to run the ball and kill some time. So Washington to win the game. I would stay away from this game with everybody's money. Just don't bet it. It should be the lowest handle take of the entire week. I don't like. Who in the NFL would lose a game to the New York Giants and at home? It's the Commodes, right? The Washington taco holders. Their logo on the side of the helmet looks like you should put tacos in it. Like, you'll see it all weekend.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but I'll pick Washington to win it because I will never pick the New York Giants to win a football game until next week.
Fair. Oh, preview into next week's picks.
Probably
what if I told
not,
you,
because Belichick's going to sabotage it because apparently he's out.
What if I told you Tommy DeVito has extra time to study game film and practice with the receivers because his mom is doing his laundry, cooking him dinner, giving him a sponge bath, paying his bills?
Yeah. The guy's living the fucking life. He's living the life.
So bad. He
makes more than us and lives at home.
Oh, my God. All right. Giants, hot garbage. Landfill in the Mojave Desert in July. Hot garbage. I'd only be concerned if the Giants had any semblance of an offense, but they're dead last in DVOA efficiency on offense. They're average, or they average a league worst 145 passing yards a game. That's terrible. They're dead last in converting third downs, bottom 5 in total first downs, and they've now allowed the most sacks in the NFL. Taking the Commanders, but this is one. Wouldn't be surprised if they somehow, just run like crazy, get up and just maybe manage a couple turnovers, sacks, stuff like that. But taking the Commanders in this game as well. Next game, Dallas at Carolina. Cowboys are road favorites. They get 10.5. Over-unders at 42.5, assuming about 37 of that at least is the Cowboys. What you
got? You know how every week, Tony, I talk about how there's one big favorite that has the opportunity to get upset? I think it might.
Don't do it.
I think it actually might be right here. Dallas on the road as a double-digit favorite, non-conference. They play on Thanksgiving next weekend in the division, right? So they need to win the division game more than they need to win this. I think it's against Washington on Thanksgiving Day. Carolina, they're getting a ton of people back. The offensive line and the defensive secondary. They're just getting dudes back and being healthy and being a full team. Their defense has actually been playing a lot better over the last couple of weeks as well. It's not been as bad. You got Frank Reich taking over play calling duties once again. The offense looked not as anemic when he didn't have play calling duties as well. Dallas, I played Carolina plus 10.5 earlier today. I think that they can cover the 10.5 as a home dog in a game where Dallas, even if they do end up winning the ball game, they can get up a little bit and then just run clock out, right? You're going to see Rico Dowdle for a quarter and a half potentially if they're able to get a big lead on this team, and then you get a Carolina backdoor because they got to play on Thanksgiving, short week in the division, Washington, I believe it is. But they can't afford to have any injuries because they're still fighting for a playoff spot. They could potentially fight for the division as the Philadelphia Eagles go through this gauntlet of their schedule as well too, and they still got a game against those guys later on in the year. But I'll take Dallas to win. I think they have too much firepower. But Carolina also sags back on defense and plays a lot more zone, a lot of that quarters coverage and the too high safety looks and stuff like that. And Dallas is meant to stretch the field vertically, but you don't do it as well against too high safety. Carolina is a very much a keep everything in front of you type of team. And Dallas doesn't do well in those situations. Dak doesn't do well in those situations. This team also lost a game to the Arizona Cardinals with a look-ahead spot as well, too. So I'm going to take Dallas to win it, but I also like taking Carolina with the points in this game. So
you hope that losing that trap game to the Cardinals is something that they have written down on the whiteboard somewhere, right? It has to be. It has to be. Road game here for Dallas, but they seem to have found the recipe on offense, feeding CD Lamb in the form of 14, 16, and 14 targets the past 3 weeks. CD's finished with 158, 191, and then 151 receiving yards in those games. And the Dallas offense has looked better. I don't see Dallas fucking around and pulling the similar Cardinals letdown. Maybe famous last word. I'm going to knock on some wood here. Also taking Dallas.
You got real wood in that place?
I got a wood desk here. That's right. Damn. My wife has the same one behind me over there. So
I need to look like you. I'm over here on particle board.
IKEA, hey man, this is IKEA wood. Next matchup, Tennessee at Jacksonville. Jags have a touchdown at home. 7-point favorites. Over-unders at 40. What you got?
Jacksonville got smoked last week by the San Francisco 49ers, but I think anybody up against the entire Niners team with Deebo Samuel playing, right? Trent Williams did help. You could see some of those Jaguars corners just I don't know if you saw that play. Dude's going out to the left, right? And I think it was a screen play or something like that. And Trent Williams is like 10 yards down the field, 15 yards down the field, up the left side of the field. And there's a cornerback for Jacksonville. And he's kind of backpedaling and trying to get an angle, and then he just turns his body around and runs away to come around terrifying. And like try to get
it's terrifying.
But that's going to happen to pretty much anybody, right? That team beat the Cowboys by like 40 points as well. No shame in getting smoked by the Niners. Jacksonville's just not there yet, but I think it's a good spot for them to get right. Tennessee. Will Levis looked okay for a little bit, and then you get some tape on him, and what does he want to do? He lofts the ball. He makes throws that he shouldn't because he has so much faith in his arm. But without the understanding that he's not playing Vanderbilt anymore in college football, right?
Yeah.
Jacksonville's defense, I think, gets back on track here, and they win at home.
Yeah, San Fran ripped the Jaguars apart last week, but I don't think that performance is indicative of where Jacksonville is, especially when going against AFC South teams. Jags' entire body work puts them fifth in defensive efficiency and fifth in total rushing yards allowed. Also, Will Levis, after starting hot, you kind of alluded to this, he's completed just 52% of his passes over the last 2 games, with Tennessee scraping together just 11 points per game in that stretch. Not going to get it done against the Jaguars. I think Jacksonville is able to bottle up the run, let Will Levis throw a little bit, get some turnovers. It's going to be low efficiency passing volume anyways, but I have Jacksonville winning as well. Final Sunday early game here is Arizona at Houston. Texans are favored by 5. Over under is high. It's at 48.5. What do you got for this one? I know who you got. I don't like it.
Yeah. CJ Stroud is awesome. He's one of the top, I don't know what you'd say. He's a top 10 quarterback in the league, potentially a top 7 quarterback in the league with his play in his rookie year. There's all this hype in the media about CJ Stroud is in the MVP conversation. Just stop. There's no way he can or will win the MVP because he's not going to win 2 awards. You know how many times in the NFL has a rookie won MVP in the same year? Do you know, Tony?
I'm going to say 0. I'm going to go on a limb here.
One time. It was in the first year that they ever did awards, and it was Jim Brown. He won Rookie of the Year. It was the first year they did awards, and he won MVP that year as well. No one else has done it, right? And as much as the media wants to do it, and they want to talk about it because it's an easy topic to talk about, and it's fun to talk about, and it gets people riled up or whatever, it doesn't matter because it just doesn't matter. Yeah, obviously, right? It doesn't matter because it matters what the voters are going to do. And the voters are never going to have a rookie be MVP because they already have an award for the rookie. It's the same reason Christian McCaffrey or Tyreek Hill will not be MVP. Even if they break all of the records.
Cooper Kupp.
It won't happen.
Yeah.
Won't happen.
Yeah.
So MVP is a quarterback award because the quarterback position is the most important on the field. When you listen to any shows with these guys who are actual voters, they talk analytically, the quarterback position is the most important, so it'll always be a quarterback. So it's either going to be the number 1 seeded quarterback in the AFC, or it's going to be like Jalen Hurts, right? And that's if he gets to this stretch undefeated, which is going to be really hard. So probably the number 1 seed in the AFC, which might end up being like Lamar Jackson, which is justified. But with that being said, they asked CJ Stroud this week, hey, how do you feel about, your name being in the MVP conversation? Everybody's talking about it, and this, and all the broadcasters and stuff. He's like, they hate me this week, or they love me this week, and they'll hate me next week. Yeah. Check mark. You're going to get smoked by the Arizona Cardinals. The Arizona Cardinals are a different team. They've fought the entire year. They get their quarterback back, and Kyler Murray changes everything in that offense. Granted, Josh Dobbs was amazing, right? But he showed up a couple days before their first game and had to figure it out. Kyler Murray's been there, played with these guys. He is meant to be the franchise quarterback. His mobility is crazy, and it's so fun to watch him play, especially when people make like those Toy Story animation things of him, and he's like running, and he looks like so much smaller than everybody.
I love it.
But the dude's fantastic. Arizona also plays this shell defense where they have too high all the time. They play a lot of cover 4. They don't allow explosive plays. I believe they are top 5, top 6 in like the rate in which they don't allow explosive plays, and that's what Houston benefits off of a lot. They have these big chunk plays. Houston, I have not seen them go like buzzword, take a drink, meticulate the ball down the field in these like long 9, 10, 11 play drives or whatever like that. You get a couple near the end of the game while the defense is sacking back, but when you're in base packages and stuff like that, there's a lot of broken plays where CJ Stroud has the ability to run, but he's not really a runner. He doesn't like to run. They ended up losing in the college football playoff because he wouldn't run last year. And there was 10, 15 yards in front of him. But They rely on these big shot plays, 20, 30 yards down the field. They're not going to get that against this Arizona team. I think we see the turnovers come out of him, and I have Arizona winning the game on the road in Houston because that is what happens in the National Football League. A team's hyped up. Oh, the 49ers might be the greatest thing on since sliced bread. You got to throw out Trent Williams and this. And, the cookie crumbles the way the cookie crumbles. You had Houston beat the Bengals last week. Shouldn't have done that. You had Cleveland beat Baltimore last week. Shouldn't have done that. You've had Arizona beat Dallas. Shouldn't have done that. It happens all the time. And it's going to happen this week when Arizona goes into Houston and beats this team. And the Arizona Cardinals miss out on, the number one pick where they can draft back, get some assets. Maybe they trade back, get some assets, maybe get to 3 so that they can still get like Marvin Harrison Jr. and then also have some other draft picks to fix the rest of their team. But this team's here to fight, and they're going to go in there and get a win. Book it. It's one of my favorite money line plays of the week.
It's bothering me right now. Meticulate or matriculate? And
I don't know words.
The word we're looking for
words,
here.
Tony.
I know what you
matriculate.
I know what you mean,
field.
but I looked it up and it still doesn't make sense. So I don't know. I've heard like broadcasters say it, but I don't know.
Matriculate
I'm confused right now.
What does matriculate mean?
I looked it up and it said like to be enrolled at a college or university. So I have no idea right now. I feel like
no way.
I feel like I've been lied to for a very long time.
No. Okay.
We're doing research right now. The producers are out, so we're having to do the legwork here.
A person who has matriculated. Thanks. That's used as a noun. Like, okay, I'm gonna look it up. You keep talking.
All right. Yeah. Again, bold pick for you. Definitely a lot of positives coming out of the Cardinals' win last week. That might be propping them up here against the Texans because I've seen this pick from other experts as well on the Cardinals side. We got to remember though they beat the hapless Falcons who lost Taylor Heineke halfway through that game. Houston has wins on the books against the Bengals last week, the Bucks, the Saints, the Steelers, and Jaguars. I really like where this Houston team is at. We both believe they're ahead of schedule. Most people would probably agree with that. I love the job D'Amico Ryans and even Bobby Slowick are doing down there. I'm taking Houston. I just don't think the Cardinals are as good as, what we think we saw last week against, again, the Atlanta Falcons and Arthur Smith and Desmond Ridder, their backup quarterback. And Taylor Heineke's not even really, a starting quarterback in the NFL. So I'm not buying it yet. Again, I need more data points. That was 1 week with Kyler, first week back. It was against Atlanta. I need more. I just need to see more. I'm not going to bet on that this week, going to Houston to take on a pretty hot Texans team.
I also believe, though, that Atlanta's defense is way superior to Houston's defense, right? With like Houston's losing Denzel Perryman in the middle at middle linebacker as well, too. Yeah. So because he got cut for 3 games, matriculate could be used to mean to advance. Yeah. So that's in the term for matriculate is like when it talks about college or whatever like that. So it's a transitive word paired with a noun. So
transitive. You're pulling the vocab out today. I like it. All right. Moving on to the Sunday afternoon games. First matchup here is Tampa Bay at your San Francisco 49ers. San Fran is favored by 12 at home. Over-unders at 41.5. What you got?
Niners with the points. That's it.
Okay. Is that it?
Yeah, I don't have anything else. Okay. They're going to beat the shit out of this team, Baker Mayfield. It's going to be a bloodbath. Like the Niners are on a mission.
Yep. Debo's back and healthy. Greenlaw looked healthy. Trent Williams healthier. Didn't look 100%, but still, I saw that play you're talking about where cornerbacks are just running away from him. Can't blame them. They're the same height, weight, athleticism as you and I, roughly. And we would run away from that dude. But all those guys back on the field made this team look more like the 49ers from weeks 1 through 5 versus, the 3 weeks prior to this past week. They hit a bump, they recovered, and may God have mercy on this Tampa Bay team. I've got San Francisco. Also, CMC didn't score last week. No way he's staying out of the end zone this week. I'm happily taking the ATS on him here in week 11.
It did bother me, though, that at the end of the game, they tried to get him a touchdown. They were
With Darnold,
near the goal line, and they did it 3 times in a row. Like, stop. Like, just stop with the cute shit, because if Christian McCaffrey tears his ACL on one of those plays, like, bye. Get out of here. You're fucking done. You're a bozo. Like, don't do that shit anymore.
Yeah, agreed. Wasn't a great look. Next game here, the Jets at the Bills. Buffalo is a touchdown favorite at home. Over-unders at 39.5. Surely it's got to be the Bills this week, right? The cost is so
fast, my friend.
You will see on the slides where we're at in our totals. The records are fine, but our totals for units lost is bad, and it's because of this fucking Bills team. I swear to God, they have 3 or 4 losses this year that account for about 75 to 80% of what we've lost on the year, and I may never recover.
Yeah, we would be down. You would be down 4 units. I would be down 5 or 3 units right now if it weren't for this Bills team. And Dallas obviously losing to Arizona. Like, we'd be way up right now, but that's the way it happens. That's the way the cookie crumbles. The Jets, they lose their star quarterback 4 plays into the regular season against this team on Monday Night Football. Granted, they're in MetLife at home, everything, whatever, but that was a team that should have just folded at that point and said whatever, right? But you know who else they have at quarterback? Zach Wilson. And he drove them down the field, put them in position. They get a stop. And then they return a kick in overtime, win a ball game. Right? Boom. Zach Wilson beats the Buffalo Bills because quarterback wins, and wins are a quarterback stat, obviously. But there's a bunch of turmoil in Buffalo, too. Apparently, Stephon Diggs is upset because his brother is tweeting out as the game's going on, or after the game, or the day after the game. And he just keeps doing it. And you have to know that Stephon Diggs knows that his brother's tweeting out all this shit. Like, why are you doing this proxy crap? It's the same shit that you did when you were in Minnesota, right? Like, you were a good receiver with Minnesota and Kirk Cousins, right? But Kirk Cousins has supported Justin Jefferson. He supported Jordan Addison. Right? He supported TJ Hawkinson. He's supporting all these guys. And you look at the guys that were in Washington before. They were nobodies after they left Washington when Kirk Cousins was gone. Stephon Diggs, like, Josh Allen made you. Josh Allen made you the top receiver in the league for a period of time, or one of the top 3 receivers. You're just a dude. Like, yes, you are talented and everything like that, but you might not want to poke the bear of the person and the organization that paid you a bunch of money and then made you who you were, because you're losing games and stuff like that. Your quarterback has a bum shoulder, and like, he's obviously hurt. You can tell when he throws the ball. It doesn't look natural. He grimaces after every single throw. But the Buffalo Bills are going to win a game because they have to win a game eventually. And why not beat the Jets at home? I think that it'll be interesting to see what the Jets do if they cut Michael Carter, and it kind of sucks because Michael Carter's actually good, and he's not getting paid a ton of money, which is weird, but it's because they paid Dalvin Cook, and they wanted to bring up Israel Abanikanda is what they wanted to do, to have some more explosiveness in the backfield, because he is the second best running back on that team. You can go back to our running back rankings and all the stuff we talked about, all that stuff, everything from after the draft analysis. He's so damn good. He jukes linebackers running up the gut. He does a full spin move 7 yards down the field while the entire defense is collapsing on him, and still scores touchdowns. The dude's awesome. He probably should be, 1A, 1B with Breece Hall in this offense. But they paid Dalvin Cook a bunch of money to come in, and he stinks. Dalvin Cook's moving to third. Abanaconda's moving to second. I wonder if they'll do more 2-back sets. That'll be pretty interesting. But I think it's just going to be too much, too new. They still can't block all that well. Buffalo's defense isn't all that great, right? But they've played okay for what they've done, and I think that they beat the Jets at home. I don't like the 7. But I also don't want to take it with the Jets because it could just be a full implode with this team. And we'll talk about the Jets after in our closing remarks of where we're going to go with this podcast after.
Yeah, it's almost.
I haven't discussed this with you yet, but I'm making a decision.
That's fine.
So.
Okay. It's almost as if the Jets should have allocated the $9 million they paid Dalvin Cook. into a tackle, a left tackle
Mm,
or a right tackle, or God
maybe.
forbid a guard. Maybe that would have
Maybe.
helped
Yeah.
keep Aaron Rodgers and Zach Wilson upright a little bit. But I don't think Dorsey was the problem for Buffalo. He got run over by the bus. They ran him over. They threw the bus. They threw it in reverse and they ran him over again. They fired offensive coordinator there, Dorsey. Buffalo's offense was third in DVOA, fourth in passing yards, and 11th in rushing yards. Didn't seem like he was the problem. I think the problem was turnovers. They were giving the ball away like candy, ranking 30th in the NFL in that category. We'll see if Josh Allen can right that ship. I feel like a lot of that is on him. I feel like they go through stretches each year like this, though. They kind of get into a rhythm where they're dropping 40 on everyone, though, kind of in between these bad stretches. I'm not sure if they need to get to 40 against, or if they can get to 40 against a stout Jets defense, but I think they avenge that week 1 loss here. And I think, like you, they do get a win against the Jets here in week 11.
I want to see Josh Allen throw the ball to Stephon Diggs like 21
Nick,
times and just be like, whatever, there's a rookie corner on you, like, or whatever, one of these second-year
yeah.
corners or something like that. We're going to just throw it at you the entire game. Let's see how good you are. Shut up and go sit on the bench. I'm going to throw it to fucking Gabe Davis. Like, I hate that prima donna diva shit. Because where are you going to go? Who's going to want to play with you, right? Quarterback is trying to get Stephon Diggs, who shits on his quarterbacks after not getting a couple targets. Shut up.
He needs to stop turning the ball over, and Gabe Davis needs to stop dropping the ball. So I'm not sure
Yeah.
if it's all on Stephon Diggs. Like, there's plenty of blame, I think, to go around for this whole team. Moving on to the final Sunday afternoon matchup here. It's Seattle at the Rams. Seahawks are road favorites. They get a point. Over-unders at 46. What are you doing with this one?
Both of these teams stink. Like, this is just a game that no one's going to watch. Like, we're going to watch the Jets in
Hey,
Buffalo because
whoa,
people want
whoa,
to.
whoa.
Yeah, okay. Your house may have it on like the phone so that you can have more space to watch the other games. Like, that's what it's going to happen.
Probably.
Muted too. So, but I don't think Seattle's any good. I don't think that Geno Smith's all that good. I've said it for a year now. And the Rams will get Matthew Stafford back, I believe, this week. He was a game time decision,
Full
sort of,
participant
the
today.
last time they were playing. And then they had a bye week, right? So Matt Stafford's going to play. Granted, Seattle has good young corners and stuff like that, but good young corners, I don't think are going to be able to compete with the likes of Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua in this offense. I think they'll be able to scheme some stuff coming out of the bye week and beat Seattle at home. So I'm
2-0.
taking the Rams. I'm taking the Rams there. So
You
I
think
I
they're
don't
going
believe in
2-0?
Seattle. I don't. Yeah, like Seattle
Okay.
stinks. I think Seattle stinks. I don't think they're a top. I don't think they're a top half of the league team. Geno continues to get exposed. They need to run the ball to stop exposing him. Granted,
Okay.
good job. You spent a high pick on Jackson Smith and Jigba, and you don't run enough three wide receiver sets to get him on the field and get him involved. I just don't see them winning a game. I just don't. It's more against Seattle than it is for Los Angeles.
In support of the Rams, for sure.
Yeah.
Seattle's had some rough stretches, but they're 11th in offensive efficiency. Defense is 20th, but I think they're trending up. On paper, they have some dudes at every level. They made a trade for, was it Leonard Williams? So they're still kind of meshing there. At some point, they're going to put it all together. And maybe this isn't the week, but the Rams are 15th on offense and efficiency and way back there in defense at 24th. So back of the league. You did mention Stafford. He's practicing this week. Today, I believe that was in full, so he's on track to play. That's cool. I don't think they've been very good on either side of the ball, the Rams. They're vulnerable against the run, just 19th in rushing yards allowed. So I think if Seattle wins this game, it's going to be on the back of a lot of Kenneth Walker and a lot of Zach Charbonnet. But I do have them winning this game at Lumen South. I had to look up the name of their stadium. Let's move on to the primetime game, Sunday Night Football, Minnesota at the Broncos. Denver's favored by 2.5. Who you got?
The wrong team's favored. It's the same thing that happened last week. It's the same thing that's happening this week. I'm a big fan of the Denver Broncos. Like, the Denver Broncos get a bunch of crap off of one game this year, and that was they let up 70 points to the Miami Dolphins.
Points. Yep.
Throw it out of the window. That's not normal. It's not something that you could throw into numbers. After the end of the season, when you do your analysis, if you do fantasy football and stuff, you throw out the top two games they did the worst and the top two games they did the best. You kind of find the mean, right?
The outliers. Yep.
The other games they've lost have been one-score games. You know, they lost to Kansas City at Arrowhead. I think they lost to the Raiders as well, too. They had missed field goals, fumbles near the goal line in a lot of these games. Just bad stuff happened that was kind of variance related. I think the Denver Broncos are putting it together. I don't think they're fully there yet. You see Javonte getting a lot more involved and everything like that. Mm-hmm. But with that being said, dare I say I think the Minnesota Vikings are a better team overall with Josh Dobbs at quarterback than they were with Kirk Cousins. And it is only for the mobility, because Kirk Cousins is a complete statue. You don't see Josh Dobbs taking all these sacks. It's the same dude's blocking, right? Kirk Cousins just getting mauled out there. Josh Dobbs is able to move a little bit. And then you got these receivers who are super talented running, laps around the field against these defenses. Yeah. I think that Minnesota is better than Buffalo. And it took Denver every possible circumstance of pass interference, 12 men on the field, poor clock management, a bunch of turnovers for them to beat Buffalo on the road. I get it's in Mile High. It's a whole different element here. It's going to be a little bit chilly and all that kind of stuff. But I think Minnesota is the better team overall. Talked a little bit last week or the last couple weeks about how Minnesota's blitz rate has gone down a lot, but they show a lot of those fronts and it confuses defenses, because the majority of what they're watching is the majority of the season has been these excessive blitzes. So what do you see on the tape, right? These guys aren't watching the full gamut of every game of the year within a week. Not every player and quarterback, they're just not spending all that time. So install the game plan, figure out how you're going to do it, and what you look at them from. Minnesota's going to win this game here in the Mile High City of Denver.
We've seen that from a few teams, and it's been a thing in the past where defenses will bring 6-7 guys on the line and make the quarterback think after the ball is snapped and make the right reads, right? Why don't more teams do that? It seems to work almost every freaking time. I just don't get why you just give the quarterback hey, this is what we're doing. We're in this coverage. Pick us apart, right? It doesn't make sense to me.
Minnesota's been doing it a lot more on earlier downs too, which makes it more confusing on the third downs. Because a lot of teams will do it on third down. They'll show pressure and they bring one other guy and they drop back D-line and all this kind of different stuff that's exotic. And they wait till third down to do it. Minnesota's doing it early. So they're getting in positive game scripts when they got, 2nd and 13 or something like that. Or you're starting 2nd and 10 and they're just in plus positions on defense.
Yeah, we need to do some research after the season and take a look at that kind of stuff. Denver got off to a rough start this season. I think you kind of mentioned the 70-point game. But I like the direction they're heading now. They're feeding Javonte Williams. You mentioned that. They're winning football games. In the last 3 weeks, they've taken down the Packers, the Chiefs, and the Bills. Defense has looked pretty sturdy. The offense has looked better, more efficient. Just both units improving week over week. Minnesota, on the other side, has been hot, but the win streak has to come to an end at some point, right? They've won 5 straight, 6 of 7. I'm giving Denver the edge here, playing at home at elevation. That's one of my favorite things about the Nuggets is they have the elevation of 52-7, whatever it is. I should know this. Just right there on the court. Why don't they have that at Mile High? Do they? Is that a thing?
They have a row of orange seats, like how the Rockies have a row of purple seats.
The line, that's right.
Yeah, so in the top part of it, it's a row of orange seats that show Mile High.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. But yeah, they're playing at home at elevation. They're coming together finally under Sean Payton. It was probably bound to happen at some point, but I'm going to the Cleveland and Denver game also next week. So I need the Broncos to be 5-5 and in the playoff picture, because I think it'll make for better football, when we're in the stands at elevation watching. So I'm taking the Broncos here. Not for the last reason, but for the former.
I was talking to one of our friends that you're going to that game with the other day. He was like, I bought these tickets at the beginning of the year when we thought that the Denver Broncos would be good and the Browns might be good. And then all this stuff happens and I don't even get to watch, Nick Chubb. I don't get to watch Deshaun Jackson, Donovan Peoples-Jones. I don't get to watch none of these guys. And I paid way too much, and I could probably get my tickets now for a third of the price, but whatever.
Yep. Yeah. There's someone, a mutual friend. They have the tickets for like half the price or like a third of the price. They're
Yeah.
season ticket holders and like so sans all the ticket fees too. So yeah, he's absolutely right. That part sucks, but it should be fun. Final game here for us: Philly at the Chiefs. Kansas City's home favorites. They get a field goal. Over unders 45.5. What do you got?
There, I'm a firm believer that there is something about when life becomes more prevalent and out there than the game that you play. And that is prime with Travis Kelsey. Every fucking commercial, everything about his girlfriend, everything about his girlfriend's parents, meeting his parents at this game. He's in Argentina this last week. He's doing all these other bits, Saturday Night Live, all this stuff during the season. I just think that Philadelphia, and granted his brother does a lot of this stuff too, right? But he's not as much. Like, it's Travis Kelsey fucking everywhere. And he's the focal
Awesome.
point of this entire offense. I don't care, man. I don't buy products because Patrick Mahomes uses fucking Gillette shave gel, or whatever, like, or Head and Shoulders. Like, that's not, like, I'm not buying Head and Shoulders. I never would. But I think that's happening with this Kansas City Chiefs team. Their defense is good. Their offense is not. They have the most dominant weapon in all of football, the scariest dude in football, in Patrick Mahomes. I think it'd be him and probably Tyreek Hill, at least offensively, like the ones you have to worry about the most that can take over a game. But Tyreek Hill's dependent on someone else. Patrick Mahomes is awesome. But Philadelphia is meant for these type of games. They got all the glitz and the glam. We have a quarterback who's been injured. We're both coming off a bye. Andy Reid after a bye. That shit's got to end at some point too. Philadelphia is going to go to Arrowhead and beat this team. They're going to run it straight down their gut, punch them in the mouth, and they're going to be able to just take Travis Kelsey out of the game and say, you know what, we'll man up with Rashee Rice, Justin Watson, Kadarius Toney if you ever want to let him out of the bag. Whatever with Pacheco, we're going to stop that. McKinnon's probably going to be a problem. If you're looking at McKinnon props, I think those are solid too for pass catching and receiving yards. If you look at what he's been able to do since he's came back to the offense and in the Super Bowl when they played this team as well too. But I think Philadelphia, this is a prime spot for all this glitz glam about this team and all the fun stuff about it. And the other guy who's involved in some of that media stuff is just our center. He's a big guy. He's a center. Grant, I didn't like that he was on Thursday Night Football last week. Like, come on, man. Just don't do that stuff.
Well, they had to. It was the Bears and Panthers. Come on.
Yeah, but, like, it's just weird to see it out of an offensive lineman. But all this hype stuff about whatever this is, I'm not buying it. Philadelphia is a way better team top to bottom. Get it, Kansas City's defense has been solid. But they're not going to be solid when it's 3rd down and 3 and you got 2 tush pushes coming your way, right? That shit gets exhausting. You're going to put Chris Jones in the middle and just be like, hey, defend this play or whatever like that. Like, you do 6-7 of those things, that defensive line is beat. Like, it just takes a toll on you. And I think that Philadelphia, after the Super Bowl, they should have beat the Kansas City Chiefs, and they didn't because in the 3rd quarter, they got the ball back. They were up 1 score, and you're looking for this vintage Philadelphia Eagles, drive it down the field, matriculate the ball down the field on this 13, 15 play drive where you're just run, right? And they beat the shit out of defenses, and that's what they did all year. They've done it this year when they take over games. They didn't do that in the Super Bowl. They came out, passed 3 times, 3 and out, and the game was over. It's not happening this week. Philadelphia beats the Kansas City Chiefs. Yes. Don't allow yourself to become bigger than the game. It happens to everybody who ends up doing it. And when you're the only guy that the team could rely on for production, Mm-mm.
If he wasn't injured, his production would be the same as it always is. He's playing a little hobbled. Playing a little hobbled.
Jalen Hurts?
Kelsey.
Ah,
Yeah,
that's
he's a
over with.
little. He's been hobbled. This was a tough one to pick. Both teams, you mentioned that coming off the bye, a little healthier than previous weeks. Both teams with a little bit of momentum, right? Winning prior to those byes. For me, though, it came down to who's playing more efficient, more consistent football on both sides. Eagles, they're 7th on offense, 19th on defense in terms of efficiency. With Kansas City, talked about how good they've been, 6th on offense, 3rd on defense. They've been top 10 in those categories all season. Very consistent. Outside of the Mahomes flu game, they've been solid, even with a banged up Kelsey to this point. I don't think he's been healthy like at 100% in a single game so far this season. I've got the Chiefs in this matchup, and honestly, like this is probably going to be a glimpse at what we're going to see in the Super Bowl. Like there's a very good chance these two teams make it back to the Super Bowl the way things are going in the AFC. And yeah, Philly has to get through San Fran, but you just talked them up like they're pretty good. Eagles are a pretty good unit, so
They are. Yeah.
Yeah, so we're ending this on 3 opposite sides. So yeah, there you go.
Mm-hmm.
On the week, I am wagering 44 units to get to 1 unit of profit for each correctly picked game, with you at 40 units, just under, but at 40 about. Records for both of us are good. Having a hard time shaking the losses the Bills keep giving us. So here's to hoping for we need this, like a plus 10 unit week. We just need one of those to get back on track. So fingers crossed. We might cross some other things too. Moving on to our best bets though. What are you looking at this week for your best bet? You're 7-3, so you're hot.
Yeah, I'm going to go to everybody's fantasy football darling, and that's Rachaad White. I'm going to go under 45.5 rushing yards up against the San Francisco 49ers, minus 110 when we look at what Rachaad White does on the season. He has, let's see, week 1 at Minnesota, they win a ball game. He's 17 attempts for 39 yards. Not good. He had a long of 6 in there as well, too. So 16 for 33 outside of his long run. They won, whatever. Versus Chicago in week 2, they won 27-17. He had 17 carries for 73 yards, so he's 1-1 going over the 45.5 mark, 13 yards for his longest rush. They lose to Philadelphia 25-11, 14 rushes for 38 yards, long of 12, so 13 for 26 after that. 1 long run at New Orleans, they win, and he's 15 for 56. So in 3 wins this year, he's had 2 games over the 45 mark. They lose 20-6 against Detroit. He had 7 carries for 26 yards. Lose 16-13 to Atlanta, 13 carries for 34 yards. Buffalo 24-18 loss, 9 carries for 39 yards. And all of these have double-digit runs too. So in that game, it's 15 is his longest rush. At Houston, they lose 37-39. Big shootout game, right? Tons of points. 20 carries for 73 yards. He's averaging 3.7 in that game. He had a long of 16. So after that, it's 19 for 57 yards. And then last week they beat Tennessee. He went 20 for 51 yards on the ground with a long of 11. So 19 for 40 outside of that one. In all of their losses, he's only gone over this mark, once. Because they're going to be losing in this game. They're going to be losing fast in this game. This dude's going to catch passes out of the backfield because that's what he's good at, and he can get some yards that way, but he's not getting them on the ground because they're going to be down 14-0 before the second kickoff of the game, and that's not possible. But they're going to go into this game down 9-0. I don't know, and then they're going to let up a safety and a field goal for down 14-0 6 minutes into the game. Call me crazy or whatever like that. This dude's not going to run the ball because why would you run the ball with a guy when you need to play catch up the entire game? And then, Rachaad White under 45.5 yards. He's only hit this mark 4 times. So 4 out of the 9 games. And all of those were wins outside of one massive shootout where he had over 20 carries. And he's needed damn near 20 to get it every other time. He's not getting 20 carries against the 49ers. I'll take that as my favorite bet of the week.
I like that. He's a lot more efficient catching the ball out of the backfield. So, I mean, they're smart to use him that way. So, I like that one a lot. My best bet, I mentioned some of these numbers earlier, 151, 191, 158, and 117. Those are the receiving totals over the last 4 weeks for a player who has an over-under set at 82.5 this week. It was 80 when I grabbed this. I'm pulling today's line, so I'm handing you guys 2 yards there, sports books. CeeDee Lamb, he is minus 115 to hit this on DraftKings. Carolina on the season has the 29th, 81st, and 107th best coverage grades for their top 3 corners. And CJ Henderson, still dealing with the concussion, did come back as a limited participant Tuesday. He was a DNP on Thursday, so still struggling there to get back on the field. I talked about Dallas. They found their solution on offense, and it goes through CeeDee Lamb. Everything is funneled through CeeDee Lamb. Tony Pollard's not getting it done out of the backfield, but I think he continues to smash this week. Even if he has an off game and gets you 90, 100, that's probably where he's going to land. I'm taking CeeDee Lamb for my best bet, over 82.5 yards on the week. All right, Nate, final thoughts here before we wrap it up?
Yeah, so going forward, we're not going to use DraftKings lines anymore. And I'm putting my foot down on this.
Where are we going?
I don't care. Anywhere else. Let's just use FanDuel. I hate them too. But we're not going to use DraftKings lines anymore. One, this last week, they outsourced their tech stuff, the people who actually add all the lines into the apps and the website and everything that you use, right? And those people messed it up, and it got exposed for about 15 minutes. People hammered it. DraftKings lost a buttload of money because single game parlay, they had what was meant for first quarter props as full game props. So everybody was single game parlaying these, right? And it happened for like 15 minutes, and then it got switched. All these people put in their bets. They won tons of cash. And now DraftKings is going to the Massachusetts Gaming Commission to try to get them to void out, them voiding out the tickets for that because of an error in their system or whatever, right? In a line that they provided, it was wrong. They put it in wrong. If we put something in wrong, we don't get to void shit, right? Like that doesn't happen. You offered something, took the bet. Granted, it's all technological and everything like that, right? But you took the bet. Your system took the bet. You need to pay it out. That is, what do you call that? Moral, I guess you would say. Ethical. The ethical thing to do, right? So today, going back to the New York Jets, DraftKings puts out this prop. You could look at it if you click on the NFL tab, go to futures. There's an Aaron Rodgers tab. What the hell is this Aaron Rodgers tab? Aaron Rodgers, after just speaking to a player on the field after, hey, give me a couple weeks or something like that, and he's talked on Pat McAfee show about, Thanksgiving was always the goal and, this time of stuff. So people are expecting to come back in like 2 weeks because it's all over media and all this kind of stuff. It's getting hyped up. DraftKings puts out a prop, Aaron Rodgers 2023-2024. Will Aaron Rodgers play another snap in the 2023-24 NFL regular season? And they're offering you plus 200 odds on yes. The no has a lock on it, so you cannot bet no. I don't know if they had this open as a no and had whatever plus money on it, negative money or whatever it was, and it got smoked and they had to take it down, or if they just said, hey, free money, double up, 2-1. Yes, Aaron Rodgers, when he comes back in a couple weeks, do this. This is the biggest sucker scam bet. This dude's not coming back from a torn Achilles behind this line when their team's going to be out of playoff contention. What is he going to do that for, right? That's the dumbest thing you can do whatsoever. The Achilles has one of the highest re-injury rates of any injury in all of sports. And they put up this line because they got smoked this week on having bad lines up and first quarter props as game-long props, got smoked on single-game parlays. And they're putting this up, and there's going to be people out there betting it because they sit here and watch television. And Aaron Rodgers, he's throwing on the field. He's doing dropbacks. The dude can't run yet. He can't run on a treadmill. He can't extend and push off his Achilles yet. And they're not going to be in playoff contention in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or anything like that anymore. Fuck this book because they do that, and they put it out there, and they pulled this whole screenshot marketing thing on Twitter X, right? Go to DraftKings Sportsbook, and there's this thing of him talking to the dude or whatever, a picture of like this quote of, hey, I'll be back in a couple weeks or whatever like that. Oh, by the way, here's free money. Go ahead and take it. You guys are scumbags. This is a scam alert. It's crap. And this whole social mediaification of like sports books and betting and bets and all this kind of stuff, like you have to be smart. You have to understand sports books are not here to give you money. Hey,
No.
why don't you take this free bet? You know why they give you a free bet or they give you all this bonus money? It's because you'll end up playing it. You'll end up playing it and you'll get addicted to it. They give guys on there's another podcast that does fantasy sports and stuff, and they talk about how much they get. He puts out all his financials. Every time he gets someone to sign up, he'll give away his fantasy draft guide. It's $25 for free because every time someone signs up for Underdog, he gets paid $400. And all they got to do is deposit $10 into the app. Why would they give him $400 if all you got to do is deposit 10? That doesn't make sense. Go make one bet, 10. You get your draft guide for free, and you have a chance of winning one bet. No, because they know that the average person who goes and gets into their sports book is going to spend $1,500. That's mathematically, they're going to spend $1,500, and that's what they're going to accrue for them. So the books aren't there. Casinos aren't there. Like, banks aren't there for you. They're all there to take your money. That's why they have bigger buildings, better furniture. It's a scumbag thing for them to do and post on their shit. We're not using DraftKings anymore. We'll use FanDuel. And that is the final say. So that just bugged me because it feels so fucking unethical and it feels like stealing. Hey, guys, come take this. Why would a sportsbook do that and not have no as an option? You literally don't have no as an option. That's bullshit. And I don't like it, and it's crummy.
Maybe we've been asking why on social media and in our group text. Why has Aaron Rodgers been throwing? There's no need for it. Maybe that's why.
I think
he's colluding with DK.
Yeah, the guy's got a DraftKings Sportsbook sponsorship.
That's it.
No, I honestly think he probably started doing it. One, he's egotistical or whatever, right? You got to be able to be that good at playing that position. He's one of the best that's ever done it. But I think also he understood where the team was going to be like mentally and all this kind of stuff, and probably tried to be like this guy to bring hope, right? To maybe get a couple extra things out of this team. Maybe we can get a couple extra wins. We can make it into the playoffs, and maybe I can play during that time. I don't think realistically you're going to play off an Achilles in that amount of time. We saw what Cam Akers was when he came back from it. It wasn't all that great, right? And now he doesn't even play in the NFL. So, like, can't even back up Minnesota running backs. But I just think it's a scumbag thing to do, to put out stuff like that. Like, just off your freaking lines. Don't have your sponsor people or your branded people being like, hey, here's a single game parlay, 5 legs for Monday Night Football. Oh, dang, we were so close, bro. We were so close. Yeah, that's how they keep you coming back. It's bullshit. That's why I don't like parlaying. That's why I don't like all that kind of shit. Like, it is what it is, but that pissed me off. It just felt so crummy. All right. Specifically because they are trying to avoid tickets for a mistake that they had in their book.
Yeah.
Right? If we have a mistake, you can't cancel out of a bet. Once you hit okay, nope, that's a contract. It's not a contract when they do it. That shit's crummy. So
yeah. If you can cash out, you're taking it at a loss. So agree. Yeah. Got the note written down. No more DK. We'll figure out where we're pulling the lines from. If it's FanDuel, MGM, we'll figure it out. We'll talk about that before the next episode. But yeah, thank you guys for listening. If you've made it this far, as always, we'll have the recap for Week 11 and the preview for Week 12. That'll be coming next week. Thanksgiving, also fast approaching. Get your turkey. Get all the fixings. Mention this on the recap. Costco, they're on sale. It's like $1 a pound. Got mine for like $13. Dirt cheap. It's like 2 or 3 times that at like any other supermarket, region specific, obviously. But best of luck with your fantasy, with your DFS sports betting endeavors this weekend, and we'll talk to you guys soon. Love you. Bye.
Love you. Bye.